Praise the Lord. Nasifiwe, we thank God for giving us a time to be on God of Wonder TV once again. It's been quite a while. We had a break. We were not able to be together. Good morning, good afternoon. I pray that you will be able to learn and you will be able to continue with our conversation on family therapy. This is God of Wonder TV. My name is Ann Karambu Mwangi, and today I'm here with a guest. Is it a guest or one of the young people, and we will be answering a few questions on dating, courtship, and marriage. And of course, basically, she is the one that will be doing the questions. So, yes, Faith, you can introduce yourself to the show as we continue.
So praise the Lord. My name is Faith Njilo. I am born again and I love the Lord. And I'm glad to be interacting with you today as we ask questions on dating, courtship, and also marriage.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Jilo, we've been having a conversation here on dating, courtship, and marriage. That has been the topic on marriage therapy for quite a while. I think we've done several months of this conversation, and we began with dating, we got to courtship, then we got to marriage. And our introduction to marriage therapy has always been that God is the foundation of marriage, that God is the one who initiated marriage. So our conversation normally is Christ-centered. We may not be able to answer questions that are going to secular, or our conversations it's completely biased to Christ-centered. So that is the conversation we've had, and I thought maybe it's good to bring in a young person who is in the space, or the one that we are discussing about, because when we are talking about dating and courtship, of course, it's not now for the married. It is for the youth or who are aspiring to get married. So maybe even before we get to the questions, maybe you think about dating in the time and seasons we are in for the young people.
I think this is one of the toughest seasons, especially because of the myths and the lies that are going around. Because one of it is it's okay. Our youth setup right now feel like it's okay to have sex before marriage. Yeah. And trying to have that conversation even with your peers is kind of difficult, because everyone feel like we need to I need to look the same as my peers. I need to walk around together to feel accepted. Yeah. So it's one of the toughest, but also it's easier if you get someone to work with you who has been in that space before. Yes.
Of course, I feel like you're bringing in an aspect of having a mentor, even as you get into dating. But how easy is it for young people to get mentors, especially in the area of marriage?
It's not easy as well, because somehow our age generation will feel like ni kama nitakaziwa maisha. They won't have the freedom they wanted to have when you have a mentor. And also another reason why it's not easy, it's because there are fewer mentors in our generation. Because not a lot of marriages are really standing on the godly way. So two ways. One, on our side, people feel like it's like they would have the freedom that they wanted to have. But also in another aspect, it's we do not have enough mentors in our generation right now.
I don't know. I would want to demystify that it is different for you in this generation. I believe it has been a challenge in generations that have come. Especially what you mentioned, especially the issue of sex before marriage. Definitely it has been a problem, not only in your generation alone, but it is something that is, of course, there. We will be answering a few of those questions maybe as we continue, or maybe also we've been able to answer subsequent topics. But another one is that there are many mentors in our season. Mentors are there. One of the that we have in our society today is that we amplify or we amplify negativity in the media, almost everywhere. Negativity is what sells. So there is a myth that things are not working, not because really they are not working, but because they are not as publicized as the negative information. So the truth is, there are many marriages that are standing. So the question is, of course, even as we are speaking to the youth, maybe what might not be there is the willingness. How many people are willing to mentor the youth or even know how to the mentorship? Maybe it's something we will require to do also as we talk about here on marriage therapy. I think it's something we need to bring up. How can we be able to raise more mentors to mentor the youth? So what are the questions that you are having for us today in the show?
So one of the questions that I may have is, how do you, what is the right age for dating?
What is the right age to begin dating? Okay, when we were having this discussion, I know the first time I taught, I remember there were so many questions that came in, but I say dating begins, or this discussion on marriage is supposed to begin at teenage. When I talk about teenage, I'm talking of 12, 13. Because if that conversation has not begun as early as then, what is going to happen is that the teenager, between the age of 13 to 19, they will have so much interaction with romantic relationships, and what they do is that they cause confusion. So by the time I am ready to date for marriage, I am so heartbroken. A lot has happened. I'm confused even about relating with people of the opposite sex because I began at the wrong time. So as much as we talk dating begins with preparation. You realize many people are not able to have this conversation or preparation. So the preparation needs to begin before, all the way back before teenage, so that during this time of teenage, the young person does not mess themselves up. Now, going to the question, when should dating that is leading to marriage begin? The challenge we are having in our community today, Gilo, is that we have young people who want to date aimlessly. The truth is that life does not allow us to just live. There must be a reason for everything we do. So if I am just in a relationship with a young man as a girl, or I'm in a relationship with a young girl as a man, I have like the reason as to why we are in that relationship. The truth is that, one, we will be engaging in sexual relationships. Two, we might hurt each other because there is nowhere we are going. There are no goals to that relationship. The third one is that you realize there's a lot of heartbreak happening because of being in a nameless relationship. So I would say dating should begin when I feel I am ready. I have reached the marriageable age. Of course, that I've been able to go through maybe my schoolwork, that is Form 4. I have gone to college, and maybe I have a skill that I can be able to give me a job. Once I'm able to reach there, then I am ready for a relationship. I can be able to feed another mouth. Then I'm ready to begin dating. But if we get into datings and they are not with any aim, we will hurt each other. We will get into those sexual relationships because definitely the closer we will get, the more we are exposing ourselves to, of course, even the temptation of sexual sin.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
And it's more of purpose.
Yes.
To dating.
Yes.
So if we continue, I would love to know what are the misconceptions then for the dating period.
Of course, there are many misconceptions. One, which is major, is that any person you date is the one that will marry you. That is a wrong misconception because dating is, and when we were discussing the part of dating, we said dating is a time you have an opportunity to know the person better. And the knowledge at which you're knowing the person, you want to know whether this person is born again, the family they come from, what is their education background, what are their likes and dislikes. And sometimes instead of doing that, we begin courtship in dating. I don't know whether you're getting. Because courtship should begin after proposal has happened, and there is that, what is that called? Engagement. We have had an engagement, and now we are having a conversation towards marriage. But actually, the greatest misconception is that young people bring courtship into dating. So, of course, you realize there's a lot of discussions leaning towards marriage rather than getting to know each other. And these are affected even marriages that are already people who are married, that people are getting into in marriage when they are not really knowing each other, because they rushed into marriage without knowing each other. Another misconception is that automatically, because I have liked the other person, that person automatically will be my friend. One of the ingredients of marriage is friendship. Remember, you can't hurt your friend. You cannot talk ill about your friend. You cannot hide something from your friend. But you see, these are challenges that we face a lot in marriages. You see people who are very secretive, having different accounts. Like there is so much secrets happening in the life of the partner that you don't know. It is because people assumed the dating time and they were not able to build friendships. Again, it is during dating that friendships are established, because you need to get to that level where you can be able to trust the person, you can be free to communicate with that person without fear. Another misconception, of course, is the gifts and the money aspect. Personally, I don't advocate exchange of gifts at the level of dating. Because the moment you've brought in gifts, they hinder the ability to know each other. Because now you give me maybe a phone. So I will do everything possible to please you. Because you gave me something. So I will not be real to you. So the moment we start bringing in giftings at the level of dating, we will break the ability to know each other. The issue of even some people go to the extent of paying bills, house rent, buying food. Some are even at dating, are even doing investments together. These are misconceptions that, and of course, they are causing a lot of hurt. And I believe that is the challenge. Those are the kind of challenges many young people are facing in this season. I remember I was handling a case where someone was feeling that they gave the person too much of their gifts. And it was very interesting, because when I was handling it, to me, okay, you know, of course, we want to laugh, but I gave gifts, but now the relationship did not continue. So am I supposed to go and ask for them? Of course, the person went and they wanted their things back. That is the danger of, at the level of courtship, coming in with too much giftings. Another misconception, of course, is that the only, is that sex is love. It's another misconception. Sex is not love. In fact, what we feel at that point of dating in the body, it is lustful desires. I don't want to use the lust. It is a natural desire that every young person or any human being feels in the presence of the opposite sex. And sometimes we even misunderstand attraction for love. That sexual attraction. And someone is like, oh, you know, nakufeel. and you know, every time I'm around you, my mind goes off. The mind is going off basically just because of the feelings. And it is normal feelings that get to anyone. So of course, because now you've added the aspect of liking the person, of course the attraction will be higher. And also imagining, again, another misconception is that those feelings, attractions, go all the way into marriage. They don't.
Okay.
Yes, that is another misconception. They don't sustain marriage. In marriage now, of course, once you're in there, the butterflies and the sweating and the thinking about you throughout the night somehow subsides, because that was passion and burning of attraction. So a few of the misconceptions, I know there are too many, there are a number of them.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know whether that helps.
Yeah, that really helps, because now it really enlightens you to what you should consider when you're entering into dating. Another question can be, what now are the do's and don'ts for dating?
Maybe we can begin now with the do's. Of course, the do number one is get to know the person. The purpose of dating is getting to know each other. Remember, before you first met, you didn't know each other at all. So this acts then as the time to get to know each other. And that's why you're supposed to, of course, meet in places where it is easy for you to know each other. Now, one of the things that we do during dating that affect this is when we bring in emotions and passion. I am talking about that attraction, that romantic attraction part. Again, if you bring that before knowing each other, again, it will affect the opportunity to know each other. Because I concentrate more on the attraction and, of course, explaining how you're pretty, and the way every time I sleep, I cannot sleep, and I am thinking about you throughout the night. If that is the kind of conversation we are having at dating, it will hinder our opportunity to know each other. Because it now gravitates towards the emotions and satisfy emotional needs. We are living in a time where people are in dating and, of course, literally having virtual sex. Of course, I said my nudes, said your nudes, and it's only that it's not contact, sex, but literally that is what is happening. When we start bringing in such things, they completely hinder the knowing each other that is supposed to happen during dating. The do again is understand their spiritual part. How is their walk with God? Is this a person you would want to bring in as a father or a mother to your children? Because this is the opportunity you have to make the choice. One of the things, and I believe even when I was getting married, I really don't think I was that aware that this person I am dating is the father to my children. So even as you are assessing them, you're not just assessing them as a father or a husband, but you're also assessing that person as one that is the father of your children. So as at the level of dating, you're considering, is this person a fatherly figure to my children? Because once you get married, you don't have a choice. Now automatically that person becomes their father. So if it is this one who insults people, who is the one that comes and beats the children, that is the choice that was made by you, and you have the opportunity of changing that choice only at dating. Unfortunately. But now because we mix priorities, we start emotions, we bring in too much emotion at dating, and then we miss out on the most important thing. Another area is in the area of, I think we had discussed this, intellect. How well do you argue issues? You don't want to sit with somebody who everything you do, you ask them, Jilo, what do you think we should do here? And they're like, what do you think? It is okay, me, I will go with what you think. You see, it doesn't come out well. You want somebody that will be engaging, someone that you will be able to intellectually engage at the same level, if possible. Not necessarily, definitely the same, but at least you can be able to engage with the person. Then, of course, there is the issue of family backgrounds. Are you able to accommodate? Because this time you understand culture, the culture, where they're coming from, what are things that are done in their culture and maybe they're not done in your culture, so that you are able to understand and know how to manage them, peradventure you get into marriage. So you realize all those things I am talking about right now, there is nothing about sex, there is nothing about marriage, there is even nothing about how we handle finances. Again, the do's and don'ts, I emphasize on the don'ts as a Christian. And we've said that the don't number one is that no sexual sin. Allow me to say that it's only that we think it is like God is restricting us, but the don't of not engaging in sexual sin is not that we may be too holy, it is for our good. Remember, the Bible says that one who sins against the sexual sin is not only sinning against God, but you even sin against yourself. Now let's focus more on how we sin against ourselves. Now, remember, dating is not assurance of marriage. So if I allowed myself to every person I will date, because of course I'm not assured that this person I will reach a point where I am comfortable to allow them as a spouse. Now I got into a dating with them, and we are having a sexual relationship. So if that relationship breaks, where will I be left?
At a miserable place.
Of course, a place of hurt, a place of feeling betrayed, a place of feeling, of course, even exposed and vulnerable. The second thing is the diseases that come with multiple sexual relationships. Again, this is hurting my own body. The next thing is that a child can be born in the relationship. Now, you don't want to raise a child without their father or raise a child without their mother. I know we are living in a time where we've given it a very nice slang, baby mama and baby daddy, those names. I am assuring you that is a father, whether we call them baby daddy or baby mommy. I do counseling faith, and I am telling you the pain of a child who does not know their father is so painful. It is not something you want to imagine your child going through. Although as parents sometimes we feel, I am okay. But if we can be able to prevent it at dating, why not say no to sex before marriage? Because that is what God has already provided for us. So the standards of God don't change because we are in this generation. It has not changed. The word of God says, of course, sex before marriage is sin. Now, the next thing is that sex in a relationship before marriage affects sex in marriage. So, because by the time maybe I'm getting married, I have had multiple partners. So I am trying to get satisfaction from my spouse. I can't, because I engaged in so many, or maybe I got hurt in the process. So I'm looking at this person and imagining they are also going to hurt me, yet they are my husband. So of course those are things that will affect. Again, the other don'ts, it is the issue of money. That aspect of sharing too much, giftings and money, engaging in maybe borrowing even money, because those are strings attached. They affect your relationship or your ability even to learn each other. Another one, of course, is the issue of you see, the way we want to go introducing to everyone that we are in this relationship. If it can be possible that that dating relationship is a little bit private, and it is not shown that it is leading to marriage, because the marriage discussion has not started yet. So you don't want to go introducing everybody and the next minute you are hurting each other because someone is feeling they lied that we are in a relationship and we are not. So those are some of the do's and don'ts that we had a discussion on about dating. Of course, you can go to our subsequent conversations. There is quite a lot that we had talked about on dating.
Awesome. That is very profound, and I love it. And I would love to ask now, when do courtship begins?
So courtship now begins. Now remember, we say dating is for friendship and knowing each other. Yeah. Now I have been able to know this person and I am satisfied. This is the person I want to take in as my spouse. Now we get to the next level of proposing to each other. Will you marry me? So courtship only begins after that answer has been given. So this now is a deeper level of conversation, and immediately courtship begins. Now we can start involving other people, so that now it is not only the two of us discussing, but we can be able now to engage our family. We can start engaging maybe a mentor, but mentorship should begin at dating if possible. But now we can comfortably involve a mentor and tell them, this is the person I am marrying, because now it is not I want to marry, it is the person I am marrying, because already in courtship you are planning marriage. Courtship again, of course, is the place where you're now discussing deeply issues of how many children would you want to have, what are maybe your career goals, what are your goals in terms of managing a family. Now this is a little bit deeper and personal. Again, no sex, because people also break up even after they have proposed and engaged each other. We've had people who have gone all the way even to paying dowry and they broke up. So of course this is again at courtship, this is when we do the introductions at home, we get to the dowry negotiations, we get to understand what is my requirement, even maybe to getting that lady as my wife, especially for the men now in our African culture. So those are the engagements of courtship now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Love that, and I would love to ask, what are the conversations should you have in the courtship season? Because those are the things also we maybe do not know. What are the vital conversations should we have?
Now at the courtship level, this is when we are getting deeper now. It is now beyond a general understanding each other, but at courtship now we are getting to know one another. Many young people become vulnerable to people at dating, which is wrong. The level you're supposed to be vulnerable to each other now is at courtship. Previous relationships, maybe you might have had issues of maybe abuse that happened, and maybe it was a sexual abuse. Those are conversations we can have at this level, so that even as the other person is coming in your life, they know this is the person they are connecting with. So you're engaging with each other deeply. I talked of the issue of number of children we want to have, very critical. There are so many people who get into marriage, and that is when they are arguing after the firstborn. No, me, I cannot have another one. I know I want 5. The other one wants 2. The area of investment, it's a conversation you need to also start having at courtship. How far? What kind of investment would you want to venture into? What are maybe your likes in terms of the areas you would want to settle? That is, if you're not settled yet. Those are conversations. You remember now, these are a little bit personal. Maybe if someone has illnesses that they have, or maybe congenital illnesses, I'm talking of illnesses that we begin with, we get even when we are children. Those are things we need to get the other person to know. I remember I was having a conversation with someone, and something had happened to them in their body. Remember, you've not seen each other yet. And it's like they never disclosed to their spouse until the point of the first night. It was devastating. So those are conversations. Now, remember, this is now the person you want to marry. So you can comfortably now be a little bit vulnerable. That's why I was saying many people become vulnerable, too vulnerable during dating, which is not right. Because remember, at dating, you may separate at one point. So it's not good, again, to become too personal. But at this point, because now this is a person you know, you love, you like them, it's good to get deeper into those conversations. Of course, the conversation on marriage. Now, the challenge is many young people think that during courtship, all we discuss is marriage, the wedding day. And we spend so much time discussing the wedding. Unfortunately, it's a one-day event. And we forget the most important thing, which is the lifetime that we will spend with this person. Remember, we get married between, from the age of 23, 24, all the way 30, 35, or even, of course, older. If you live with that person for 40 years, 50 years of your life, it means then you'll have lived with this person longer than you have lived. Imagine you're giving attention to one day and forgetting things that will be very essential and important in that length of time that you will be in a marriage relationship. So, of course, don't over-concentrate on the wedding day and forget the marriage. Yeah.
So at least we have covered dating, we have covered courtship, and now we'd love us also to cover the principles of a successful marriage.
Now, this is part of the conversation during courtship. What we've just asked, it is part of the conversation we are supposed to have during marriage. One of the challenges we are having in our time, we have gravitated towards not being readers. And we want to listen to information on TikTok and Reels on Facebook, and we want to listen to everybody else and celebs and the things celebs discuss, and we have refused to read. Especially young people. Reading has become very scarce in our time. Now, there are resources online, there are resources in books, there are marriage coaches, there's so much information out there that we can be able to get to understand more about marriage. I hear, there's a statement I hear people using a lot, and I don't like it. Marriage is an institution that you get into, you're given a certificate before you study. Why should I get to the level that I am getting married? There is information on YouTube, there is information on all over the place, but I am getting into an institution that I know nothing about, yet there is information. So during courtship that we become intentional. So now it is intentionality, so that we understand how is our marriage going to stand. Because our marriage does not stand by wearing clothes that look the same every Sunday. That is one of the things we like doing a lot in the church. Our marriages will not stand because we are driving a nice car. Our marriages will not stand because we are celebs. Our marriages will not even stand because we are pastors. It is the level of knowledge and information that we have that is going to help. I remember when I was getting married, I remember I read a book. And one of the books I had read is a book that was about the difference between men and women, how women reason and how men reason. It's one of the conversations we've had on marriage therapy here on God of Wonder. And it is very important because, Gilo, you cannot imagine that the way you reason is the way a man reasons. The way you handle your emotions It's not the way a man handles their emotions. During courtship and dating, those things may not mean anything, because remember, there is something you're all targeting. So sometimes they don't show up in our relationships during courtship and dating, but they will definitely show up during marriage, because now this is real. There's a statement that used to be, I don't know whether it's there now, that marriage, love is blind. And remember that time when we were getting married, we used to be told that, yes, love is blind, but marriage is the eye opener. That yes, you can get into it as blind as you want, but your eyes will be opened during marriage. So let us learn. So during now marriage, courtship, we need to understand what are the principles, what are these things that are going to make marriage stand. Areas like respect for one another, love for each other, friendship, that is key. Of course, the ability to allow each other be an individual, because again, there is relationships that people get into and see one person wants to control or manipulate the other, that everything I say is final. Now, if you get that direction, you need to also understand that we come into marriage as an individual, and we have likes, we have abilities, we have talents, we have aspirations. So how can we be able to bring them together? So again, those are principles: godliness, trust, faithfulness, the ability to pray together and work as one. Because now remember, this is a unit you're building together. It is no longer now, I don't know whether you hear Gilo, married people say, he's the one, you see, he's the one who said it that way. And you know, they're living in the same house, and it's like now, if they fail, me, I will not fail. The truth is that in marriage, someone may be the one that is very focused and doing the right thing, and the other is not. It doesn't matter how focused I am. As long as the other one is pulling me down, we will fall together, because it's one. If it is children, we are raising them together. If it is the money, we are managing money together. So if one is a spender, is a waster, it is the family money that is being wasted. Yeah, so those are issues. Of course, again, we have discussed a lot in our discussions. And then again, the area of sex. Now, this is where we tell people that this is the place for sex. Gilo, I know you're not married, but now married people are not having sex in marriage. That is the worst part of it. So we want to have it out there with everybody else, during courtship, during dating, but now when I am supposed to, it is not happening. So again, get resources, understand how am I supposed then now to make sex in marriage again be what God intended it to be. Because it is not just getting the babies. Babies are only gotten for a very short time. The longest you can go is 10 years. After that, 40 years, what else will you be doing? So of course, people are hurting each other a lot in the area of sex in marriage. But again, it is where we began. I said as early as teenage. Because society has made us look at sex as a mode of entertainment. And its purpose has been messed up. And of course, the most unfortunate thing is that even in the church, we have bought the lie. So this sex that is sacred, that God had created with this greatest sacred, has been messed up. In the process, we end up, of course, hurting one another in marriage. So those are discussions, and they are discussed in courtship, not when you're in marriage. You have those discussions, of course, in courtship. Yeah, and of course, other issues.
Awesome. I have learned a lot, and I was here to represent the young people, to ask the questions that majority of us really do ask. So maybe in conclusion, what can you tell any young person who is to walk into this journey of dating, right, courtship until marriage, for us to be able to learn more?
One, planning. Plan right. They say if you fail to plan, you also plan to fail. So if you've not planned about marriage, you can be sure you've already made the plan, and the plan is to fail. Many young people put marriage like it's at the back of their mind. It is not something we've prioritized. But allow me to say that just like growing up and eating food and all other things are very important, going to school, it is very important to plan on marriage early. And I always say start planning at teenage. So that during those teenage years, you don't waste or you don't start getting into romantic relationships that give you a wrong perception of the opposite sex. Because if you get a wrong perception way back at teenage, that will have an effect in your marriage. Remember, the years we live married are longer than the years we live single. Then these years that are so long in our life, the ones that are so important, the ones we don't plan about. We plan about doing a master's, we plan doing a PhD, we plan doing a degree, we plan doing investment, we do every other plan, but we don't want to plan on marriage. The reason as to why society is ailing, the pain is beginning at the family level. The better we plan marriage, we are assured of raising children, right? So, of course, we are discussing the issue of parenting and making sure, of course, remember parenting only comes after marriage has happened. So if I have planned well, it means I will also have planned how to raise my children the right way. If I have raised children the godly way, I am assured that I am sending people to society who are godly. The effect is a godly generation. The effect is a generation that understands God, does things right. So, of course, by me planning right concerning marriage, I'm also healing the society.
Awesome. Yeah, so it has been an awesome conversation. I am glad to have seated at this seat and be able to learn more from you. And looking forward to more sessions where we'll be able to have more conversations on godly relationships, dating, and also successful marriages, so that a lot of young people can be empowered as well. Amen.
Amen. So thank you so much. If viewers, you can place in your questions there on the comment section. We are glad to have had this conversation with you. This is God of Wonder TV. God bless you.